All right. Feel like it's been a while, so I decided to make this little video on kind of a little bit of a vlog on just sales, and a lot of stuff's been happening recently. So it's a very exciting time. And if you guys, this is your first time ever tuning in, I do sales engineering, tech sales. I've been doing it for a number of years. I've also been a hiring manager for tech sales as well as the cybersecurity industry for a number of years. So kind of giving you guys some feedback. I know a lot of people are trying to break into this industry right now, so it's great. Happy to help. If this is not your first time, yeah, I've been busy the last couple of days. I've been meeting with, we're going to a few different sales conferences next month. We're making some stuff for October, for September. September's like the big sales conference month, especially in San Francisco, obviously Silicon Valley. We're going to be going to one in Boston. We're going to be going to one in possibly Toronto and another one in Anaheim. Yep. So it's going to be really, really fun. Then, I don't know. So, building the dining room table as well. We just got done with that. I'm going to be building the new office probably this week. I got the desk coming today, the chairs coming today, everything. So pretty fun. Anyway, so let's get to it. Some common sales problems. A lot. This is really good for especially if you're brand new to tech sales and you've never really done it. And this is like problems that everybody. By the way, I did just wake up, so I got a little bit of bedhead. Got my coffee. So just a reminder on hey, I like to do these things in the morning. It's a good way for me to kind of just I don't know amp up the day. Something's on my mind. I can like kind of give it to you guys and share it. So hope that helps. Anyway, let's talk about how to overcome common sales problems that everybody kind of runs into and how you can overcome them. So I'm going to give away like kind of 5 tips that I see with a lot of different salespeople and a lot of even in my own sales team from time to time, things that I've had to deal with. So number one, not knowing your competition. To be a adequate, just an amateur salesperson, not even professional, but amateur, you need to know your competition. You need to do a competitive analysis on all the different people in your industry who are offering the same service. You need to know, pros and cons, what the benefits are, what the features are, what are they doing right, what are they doing wrong. And you want to make sure you're looking for those gaps in the market so that you know how to kind of approach it, especially if you're talking to a customer or doing a demo. What separates you than all the other competition? And this is very important, especially if you're looking for a new job, right? You should be selling yourself on the company and the service. I understand if you're like desperate for a paycheck and sometimes you just gotta go after that type of role. But in an ideal situation, you give yourself enough time, you're looking at the market, you're looking at the pros and cons of each company, and you choose a company when they make you an offer that it's going to benefit the other person. Okay. And you know that it stands out in the competition. So make sure you do your competitive research, and know your competition so that when your customer asks you, you know how to answer that effectively. And it comes from the heart too. All right. Number two, let's talk about number two, not following up. Okay. This happens with almost everybody. And I've been guilty of that from time to time too, is not following up. And sometimes I get 500 emails a day. It's hard to follow up. So it's really good if there's an old saying in sales, the fortune is in the follow up. Okay. And there's a lot of studies that if you measure your follow up rate, sometimes you find out that your closing rate is actually on maybe the third time you followed up, or the fourth time, or the seventh time. Very important to kind of measure that. So when you are starting off, keep track of your metrics and find out, okay, how many times am I closing on the first phone call or the first demo? How many times am I closing with the same person on the second demo, the third demo, and so forth? So you want to make sure that you're following up. And a good rule of thumb is that, you start delaying the follow up, if they're not responsive. Okay. So sometimes somebody might just be looking at your product, they're just kind of feeling it out, right? That's okay. No pressure. You do intermittent follow-ups, once a month, right? If they're really not responsive, you maybe do it every quarter. But if it's somebody who's very like, they're excited, they're shopping around, they're really into it, you want to follow up pretty much to, like, I would say, like the first time 3 days later, next time a week later. So it depends on the intensity level, the interest level, and kind of like where they are in the sales funnel as well. So make sure you follow up and you keep track of your follow-ups. Okay. So that's number two. Number three, talking too much. Okay. There's a big key in business: brevity. Make sure that you do not over talk. A lot of people, we talked about this on a previous video, but you want to be more of a consultant. You really want to have that vibe of education and understanding, and you're there to help them. You're there to be kind of a bit of a broker. You're looking at what their needs are. I'm here to help. And it should be very genuine, so that you're not talking too much. You're more listening, you're active listening, you're asking certain questions about what are their needs. Tell me a little bit about your business. What are you looking for in the market? How long have you been looking? What's kind of the ideal scene? So you need to make sure that you're asking more questions than just talking. Okay. So very key is brevity. Now in the hiring stage, this happens all the time. And I'm pretty sure I've been coaching, uh, some of you might be watching this who I'm coaching right now. I've been coaching a lot of people on their resumes, on how to do mock interviews, on how to get the job in tech sales, and some of them have been doing really well. Very excited. There's a few of them that are going to their interviews this week. I'm excited for, but all of them, I was telling to, like, you gotta understand brevity. Less is more sometimes. You want to make sure that when they ask you a question, you first rehearse it, you answer the question, but you want to keep it like 1 to 2 minutes. And there's another thing that's facts tell, stories sell, right? So it's good to, like, when you're answering the question, I'm kind of going maybe a little off topic, but when you answer the question, you give a fact, you answer the question, and then you might give a small story as an example of that, but you keep it within the window of 2 minutes. Okay. So brevity. So many interviews I go where the person just did all the talking or talked for like 20 minutes on their intro, and you've already lost your audience. And this is the same in sales, it's the same with interviewing. So make sure that you don't talk too much. Think of brevity. Give yourself a timer. And this is really good also if you're doing common objections. So common objections, if you could practice in your sales role playing. If they ask you certain things, that you kind of like you have it timed a certain way, so it answers the question. It maybe gives a little more value, but it doesn't overdo it where the person's attention span kind of goes off wire. Okay. So brevity's key. Um, yeah, I know. I'm just waking up, guys. So just a heads up there. Got the dog in the background, and me and the girlfriend are training. I just did a half marathon, and we're training for another charity half marathon in a month together, which is a lot of fun. And I don't know. I thought I slept good, but I'm just feeling a little creaky today. Anyway, number 4, being too pushy. Being too pushy. Um, this is my style. I don't believe in being too pushy in sales. I think you should be sales comes from the word to serve. You want to rely more on your communication, and you're really giving a great product than just hammering somebody until they buy. Now, does it work? Yeah, especially in the 80s and 90s, hard selling. And I know Jordan Belfort's straight line selling, that's a lot of hard selling. And I was at this lunch once, which was very funny. Two guys I know who are both financially free from sales. Like they use sales to get financially free. It was pretty amazing. We were in Chicago getting deep dish pizza, actually. One had been taught how to do consultative selling. Another one had been taught how to do kind of like the straight line aggressive selling. Both had become financially free from using it. Okay. So it's like they both work. They were both kind of doing it. I was kind of picking their brain. And we're all friends. So we were chatting about this. But you want to go with what resonates to you. But I find that the aggressive, if you're being too pushy, you will sell, but it's more short term. That's just my thoughts. If you're more of a consultant, if you're not being pushy, if you're being, a little bit more welcoming, you develop better friendships. And, even if the person doesn't buy, you still make a relationship for some time in the down the road. I've had people that, they didn't want to buy the service right then. No worries. I wasn't pushy. But then they recommended me like a year later or 3 years later. I was in a totally different business, and they bought from me on that sense because I was not aggressive or pushy. So you want to make sure that you strike a balance of sense of urgency without being desperate, without being pushy. Okay. So, thoughts on that one. But yeah, don't be too pushy. If that's the style you want to go for, I'm not saying it doesn't work. It does work. I've seen it work, but just kind of my own philosophy on that one. So don't be too pushy. All right, so let's go backtrack. So not following up, not knowing your competition, talking too much, being too pushy. Number 5, not believing in the product. Now, actually, there's 7 pillars of belief that you should have when looking at any type of business or money making system or sales system or anything like that. There's 7 actually you should. But I only like kind of if you want to give me a call or send me a text, I'll let you know the other 6. They are important, but for this one, we'll talk about kind of one of them. It's not believing in the product. It's not believing in what you're selling. And that's gonna rub off on your customers. This is a common thing that happens with a lot of people is they don't believe in what they're doing, and they're obviously doing it as and this is where the whole stereotype of like a, car salesman comes, car salesman where, snake oil salesman, they're trying to sell you something that they know is not gonna benefit you. So, to make sure you're not doing that, be aware of the competition. Choose products that you have done the research and service, and you really know, like, hey, I know that this product is the best in the market, or at least will benefit the other person. Okay. I know it's like, hey, you can't always have your top pick with, if you're looking for jobs and everything, but you should try to align yourself with a product and service that you know is going to benefit other people. And when you do that and you sell yourself on the product or service, and the way you know you sell yourself is, would you use the product? That's the easiest way to know if like, hey, this is like resonates with me. Would you use it? And that actually will people feel that energy. When you're talking to customers, I guarantee if you believe in the product you're selling, you'll double your sales. So make sure that you're choosing products and services that you believe in. Okay. There are other attributes too. The number one thing is, believe in the product and service, but also believing in yourself. Believe that you can do it. I was actually reading this book, great book by Maxwell Maltz called Psycho-Cybernetics, which deals with the self-image. And I might do a book review on that one eventually, but I definitely recommend checking that book out. It talks about the self-image and it gives some good sales tips on working your own mental visual of who you are. And if you can fix that, you can fix it fixes a lot of the things in your subconscious. All right, so that's it for today. I got to get cracking. I got to do some workouts. Got some workouts, some phone calls, some meetings coming up. I got new dining room chairs coming in the afternoon. Anyway, if you feel like you would like to reach out, I'm pretty accessible. I'm a lot more better on the phone. Some people, you guys write me like an email that is like an essay, and I just don't have time for it all the time. So feel free to text me or send me a quick email. You need to get in touch with your resume. We'll set up a time. I usually do a free first call, like 15-20 minutes if you need some help on your resume, on mock interview, and some career tips or how to break into tech sales. Happy to answer any questions. I usually leave my contact details in the description, so feel free to reach out and catch you guys later. Okay, have a good day. Cheers.